misconception that depleted uranium isn't being used anymore. We still definitely use it in armored tanks and vehicles because it's impenetrable and it also penetrates. You know, as far as using it in different artilleries, weapons, I couldn't tell you because the government says we don't, but we still definitely use it in armored stuff, and it's still radioactive, even, you know, all the way around. So, and the people who make these armored vehicles are exposed to it. There's no, right now in Michigan, me and Brian just did this big tour of Michigan, and we just met person after person who worked at weapons factories. And a weird thing is I noticed their leukemia rate was really high in Michigan. I saw a lot of people in wheelchairs who had lost their limbs through various degenerative diseases, much more than I have ever seen in Chicago. And that's something really important to remember. I don't know the stats on that, but just, you know, from looking at it, so.
The Army didn't tell you about it, though, did they?
The Army told me it existed, but they didn't. They were like, you could brush it off, you could take a shower, and you don't have it anymore. They didn't tell me it was like small enough. You know, if you, it's this tiny, tiny metal. It's small enough that if you breathe it in, it gets into your capillaries and your lungs, and then it's in your bloodstream that way.
But they didn't tell you that, did
no.
they?
So.
I think we'll go with Greg, and then, but since Tyler hasn't been asked anything, I'll share with you guys. I asked him how old he is. He's 20. So.
How old are you?
How have your respective stories, where you have been received by audiences of young people?
Well, I'll start Tyler off. Young people love Tyler.
But he is young people.
Exactly. Tyler's 20 years old. And did you join when you were 17?
Yeah, I joined when I was 17. I don't know. I feel like I appeal. I joined when I was 17, so I feel like I'm still not far from that age, and I can really appeal to a lot of kids that are thinking about joining the military or are wanting to start activism at a young age, I think. So,
do you guys mind going 10 more minutes? Is that okay? Just a couple more questions.
I want to thank Tyler, especially and Patty, for being here. It takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing. Always really admire young people who do that. And we didn't mean to insult you, but your partner on the panel has so much specific knowledge about Iraq. He got off, but all of us were at an emotional and intellectual level. We're incredibly impressed by both of you. Thank you.
This is for Tyler. When I was in high school, the Vietnam War was just ending, and there was a draft, and I missed it by like 2 months. If the draft was instituted in this country, say tomorrow, how soon would this war come to an end? How many people would be in this room tonight?
Great question. You know, I've noticed that so many of the young people right now. Someone was telling me that they went to a high school and talked to the young people and asked them, you know, what do you think about this situation? You know, what do you think about the government and how they're working? Like, well, right now we just really don't trust the government. So I think that it's kind of a widespread knowledge right now among teenagers and young people that they don't trust their government for some reason. I really don't think that if there was a draft instituted that it would last very long. Or at least I would hope that it would.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Patty, you had your hand up.
I just wondered, Patty and Tyler, you both enlisted at such a young age. I wondered, what kind of discussion did you have with your family before or at that time, and how does your family react to your positions now?
you guys hear me? Yeah. My family has a weird kind of take on this. You can't hear. Okay. Hello? Well, I came from a really, like kind of a poor neighborhood, so I couldn't really go to college. You know, I didn't really have a lot of options, and I knew that I didn't want to work at the chicken farm down the road from my house, you know. And so when I told my dad that I was going to be going into the military, he was kind of like, oh, I guess that kind of takes the weight off my shoulders to put you through college. And yeah, my parents are kind of pulled in two opposite directions right now, just because my sister is, her husband's in Iraq right now, and he's a second lieutenant, and it's his second tour, and she's pregnant, and she was pregnant like the first time he was in Iraq. So I feel like it's kind of tearing them apart a little bit. You know, I mean, they see me on this side, and then they see my sister on completely the other side, and I really think they honestly don't know what to do. And you know, the only thing that they see from this war is what they see through the television, and of course that's a misconstrued view. And you know, I try to speak to them a lot. I try to get my voice and get them the information that I feel that they need, and a lot of times they don't want to hear it, especially my sister, just because it stresses her out, and she would rather be ignorant than know that her husband is doing something wrong in Iraq.
Yeah, I think the first conversation I had with my parents about joining the Guard happened when I was 10, after the '93 flood, and I was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. Because we had gone in and made them cupcakes, and so thank you for helping us out. And they told me, yeah, I love the Guard, and I'm gonna go to college. I go to college for free, and I make all this money. And I was like, you know, that looks like something I might want to do. So, you know, flash forward 7 years, I'm 17. I was the oldest of 5 kids. My parents weren't super rich, but they, you know, I didn't want to have to rely on them for college money. I knew that they didn't have the money at that time to pay for it anyway. I was a junior in high school, and also I had a lot of friends who were joining the Guard, and my mom was like, yeah, look at Susie, who was actually my friend's name, and look at Susie, she's doing so well joining the Guard, and maybe you should check it out. So the first conversations, actually I brought it to the table. I was like, hey Mom, look at Susie, she's doing so well. And then my mom was like, yeah, look at Susie, she's doing great. So that was my own personal relationship with the Guard, but then also I had in the back of my mind, my grandmother was in the Navy, my grandfather was in the Navy, my other grandfather was in the Army. They all, both of my grandfathers retired. My grandmother didn't, because at that time you had to, it's not retire, but quit service if you got married and had children. My grandmother still attained rank very quickly, making E6 in 5 years. My grandfather was an E8, Master Chief in the Navy. My grandfather in the Army was E7. So I mean, you know, I had this sort of strong military pride in my family. Even though my grandfather, on my mother's side, didn't allow any of his kids to join the military. Too bad, I was unfortunate that he died before I was born. So now, I'm going to say immediately after I got back from Iraq, me and my parents would have just almost out-and-out fights about what's going on. I mean, they might say, oh yeah, the war's not so great.